So go ahead and remove the 3 tri-wing screws on this L-shaped bracket underneath the cables for the screen. There will be quite a few screws to remove during this repair, so it's important to keep organised using a magnetic mat like this one and laying out the screws in the order that you remove them. Use some tweezers to lift that shield away and store that safely for reinstallation later. Now take a plastic spudger and disconnect the battery connector. We can now unscrew the 2 screws holding down the screen flexors. And again, using the tweezers, lift the shield away. Then use your plastic spudger to disconnect the 2 flex cables. The screen's almost released now, but before we lift it away, we need to release this shield at the top of the phone, which is held down by 3 tri-wing screws and 1 crosshead screw. Use the tweezers again to remove the shield, followed by the spudger to disconnect the flex cable for the ear speaker and front sensors. We can now move the heavy object from behind the screen and pull the screen away from the phone. Before we start getting the new screen ready, we need to first remove any of the old adhesive left behind on the chassis of our phone. Using tweezers, just pull away any of the old adhesive to ensure there's a clean surface for our new seal to stick to. Once all the excess adhesive's been removed, take a small brush, like a toothbrush, and remove any excess dust on the chassis of the phone. Take special care around this front camera area because any damage to this crystal here may render Face ID useless. Now that the chassis is prepared, we can take a new adhesive seal and install that to the edges of the phone. I always start in the top left corner. Make sure that the left-hand edge is lined up properly, and then the rest of the seal should follow in alignment. Take the spudger and apply pressure to each edge of the device to make sure that it's stuck down properly. And then peel back the top layer of the film, leaving behind this small thin layer around the edges, which we'll remove when it's time to seal up the device. Put the chassis to one side and take the broken screen now. And to ensure that Face ID works after the repair, we need to carefully transfer over this ear speaker and sensor array. So start by removing the 3 crosshead screws and finally the single tri-wing screw in the top left. You can now unfold the ear speaker away from the screen and then use tweezers to lift away this small bracket from on top of the ambient light sensor. The sensor's just here is stuck down with some fairly strong adhesive, so it's important to warm up the area before removing it. You can use a hairdryer for this or heat gun, but the aim is just to warm the adhesive a little so that it softens it. Now take your plastic spudger and pry underneath the cables to lift out the proximity sensor, followed by the ambient